Hi guys, it's Philip here and welcome to this video. In this video I'm going to show you how to light this scene. So this is an abstract composition I have modeled and you guys can download this scene on my Gumroad. The link will be in the description. So once you have downloaded this scene, I will turn off the lights from this scene and when you render this scene in Octane you will get something like this. And now I will explain my philosophy and thoughts on how to light this scene like a real photographer would do. So basically how I lit this scene is that I watched a video of a photographer on YouTube where he was explaining how to light still life photography. And as you know, still life, that's for example how a photographer would light apples. And this is what I came up with. Let me first show you the file you can download on my Gumroad. By the way, all the textures I'm using in this file, the PBR maps, these are free and you can download them off the internet, and these will also be available in the YouTube video description. So let me show you what I made here, and every detail is important, so let me just mention the scale first. When you create a cube, as you can see, the whole composition is within the cube, and now if I press F2 to look from the top view and zoom out, you can see that the cube is much bigger than everything here. So essentially this cube is 2 meters in every way, so 2 meters high, 2 meters wide, and 2 meters wide or whatever. So I think let's now start resizing my cube. Press T and start resizing, and let's put it here and press F4 to jump to the front view. So essentially my composition is something like 13 centimeters. So you can imagine these pieces as little pieces where the biggest one is around 13 centimeters, and these pieces are standing on a table, and this is a wooden table. So let me leave my camera view so I can show you my studio. So this is my camera and it's looking at this wooden table, and 2 meters behind the wooden table here we have another wall, and when it comes to this wall we have to light it as well, and we have to light the scene in order to get the result we are hoping. So in the video description you will see this URL, this URL and this URL. Excuse me, it's not this one, but here. So in this video you will see this URL for this material, this URL and this URL. Please go on and download this one, download this as well, and download this here. And we will create these materials later in Octane because these are the PBR maps that we're using to achieve photorealism. So in order for you guys to set up the materials you have downloaded correctly, let me show you how it's done. So for the ground here, the table, we want to add the wooden material to it. So just create an Octane material, and once you do that, essentially what you should do is this. So we have downloaded the files from the web, and the wood planks, these are the files that you got. So just create an Octane material, select all of these, drag and drop them into the Octane node editor, and then just add the normal map into the normal, add the height map into the bump, add the roughness into the roughness. Also here in the material for the roughness I just like to change it a bit here. So add an add node. Okay, this is not necessary then. So just use the plank specular level for the specular here, and the base color, you plug that into the color correction node and then plug that into diffuse. And in the color correction node just make sure that your brightness is 0.52 and that the hue is here and the saturation is much lowered. and this way you will get this material for the back here. And essentially you do the same for the background, and for these little details here that you see, you can just download the Cornelius's glossy map, so that's here. And what I did here is that I took this glossy map and I just plugged it into the bump, but in the glossy map I changed it, the type basically to float and the power to 0.02 into the bump map, and that way you will get this bump effect that almost looks like a normal map, but it's actually made from the glossy map. So this is our studio here, and as I explained, we have a wall here 2 meters behind the subject, which is around 15 centimeters tall, and we have a camera. The camera, it has the portrait focal length, so it's 80 millimeters, so this is also important. And right now the camera here is a square, so 80 by 80. We are going to render this in 2K basically. So let me show you and explain the lighting. The idea is to look at this as a photographer would in a studio. So we have our camera here that is our camera here that is looking at the subject, and we have a wall behind. So when we want to create a backlight to light up the wall and to give an accent color, and actually like an accent from the subject on the wall here, we have to put the light here so that it lights the wall. It essentially looks up from the wall and casts a light somewhere here, as a real world lamp would do basically. And as you can see, this light compared to a default Octane light that you can create, so Octane Live Dialog, let's just put it here, and let's create a new Octane light. And as you can see, this light is huge, and we are not using anything like that, so the size of the light is also important. So essentially here is the light that we are lighting the wall with, and this will give us an accent. Let's turn off all the lights here from our scene, jump into the camera view and light up Octane. So nothing is happening here, but if I select this backlight and turn it on, this is what happens. So we get the light here, and it's spilling some light here on top of our composition, but essentially this light is here just to add an accent to the background. So the next light we are adding to the scene is actually the light that will light up the subject, and we are using this light here to do that. Just a second, I'm going to jump into the Octane camera, go here, options, update check, and uncheck camera. And now I can leave the camera view, but nothing will happen. So the idea with this light here is that it is a hot box, and what that means is that it's essentially a bigger light source, and a bigger light source will have soft lighting and soft shadows, while a smaller light source such as this one will have, its lighting will not be that soft, it will be sharper. So, and another reason why this light is so wide is that we want the light to encompass our compositions, to wrap around it, because we're looking from here, we want some light here in the front and in the back, and that's the reason why the light is so wide. We want to wrap the composition from the angle. So what happens here with this light is that this light casts light onto the composition here, and let's turn it on so I can show you what happens. So this is what happens. And our scene is now lit from this angle. Let's see the intensity of this light. It's 55. The power is 55. So the idea when you want to do it like this is that you have the lighting only from the left, but you want to add some lighting from the right as well. And what I did here is I didn't create another light here to light this scene from the right, but I created a normal polygon. It's actually a plane. Here it is. And this plane is around 47 centimeters big. It's like half a meter cardboard basically, that has a white material on it, and it's just a diffuse material. It's a normal diffuse material with nothing changed. And what this does, this acts as a reflector. And let's select this one and delete it. So let's delete this reflector, and you pay attention what will happen here to the right side of the image. As you can see, it's much darker and the area is in shadow. It's almost completely black here. And we don't want that, so we put this reflector here. So this light source, it casts light. Some of the light spills on the reflector and gets back onto the subject and lights the right part of the subject just subtly, so that we don't get really hard light. The reflector is here. You can see it in the reflection of this sphere. So this is the main light and this is the reflector. Let's delete the reflector. As you can see, it disappeared here. So another thing that is commonly used in photography, such as reflectors that we have here, is this light blocker. And what this does, let's just delete this light blocker, and you pay attention to what happens here. As you can see, there's a lot of light coming from the light source. So the idea is we want to put some geometry. In this scenario, it's just a plane. We want to put a plane here so that this plane blocks off the light that is coming here. And let me show you how that looks like essentially. This is exactly what you would do in the real world if you were lighting a real still life image and you were a photographer. You will put this here and you can see that you don't get any light here. So yeah, this is another reason why we are adding here. So as far as I'm concerned, I think this image is good to be rendered. And if you guys want, you can add an HDRI. Let me show you what my HDRI changes here. Essentially, it doesn't add a lot because it's really low, 0.1, but it just adds some of the subtle shadows, etc. The HDRI I'm using, it's something from Substance Painter, but as you can see, it's just a let's turn off my lights and show you what happens. So I'm pretty sure you can just pick whatever HDRI you want and just make sure that it has, it's a studio environment basically. So yeah, this is what we get. Okay, let's start from beginning. I'm going to go over everything here so that you guys can learn more about photography and how to properly render. So we have a camera that's 80 millimeters wide, point at the subject that is around 20 centimeters high, 15 to 20. And we have 2 meters behind that, we have a wall. Our lighting setup is the following. We have a backlight that is set to around 50 intensity of the power, and it lights the background from the bottom, from the top, and this is what we get. We also have a softbox here that is lighting our subject from the left. The softbox adds nice lighting and wraps the whole subject because it's so wide. The hotbox uses 55 power. And then we have this reflector here that reflects light back onto the right of the composition. And we have this little blocker here that blocks the light from the softbox. And yeah, this is what we get basically. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, like, share and subscribe it. And if you didn't know, I created a full course on how to become a 3D artist. In this course, there is about 5 to 6 hours of content where I teach you guys how to learn 3D modeling of abstract compositions and rendering, learning essentially this pastel style. And yeah, this style is really popular at the moment, and even the biggest companies in the world are looking forward to hiring freelancers that know how to do this style. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and see you in another one. Take care, bye bye.